Well, good afternoon. What is up, folks? We're here in Brigham City, Utah, at the world famous Mormon Tabernacle. Directly across the street is the newly built Mormon temple. We're going to talk about the KLIM, or KLIM, the way it's freaking spelled, Krios helmet. I don't know, I think this is the first model that they made. There's definitely a newer one out now. So I'll give you my thoughts on this thing. And what we're going to answer is whether or not this is a good design or a shit-ass design for a freaking motorcycle helmet. Stay tuned. I've been meaning to make a review about this ever since I bought the helmet, of course. I've had this helmet for probably 6-7 months, maybe more, and gotten many miles of usage out of it. And so the helmet I was using prior to this was an ADV, and it was on loan to me from my son. And an ADV is a really nice Italian made helmet. It's not an adventure type of bike helmet, but just a street cruiser helmet. So that was my only reference really to compare it to. And I've been holding out to do this review until I had time to bring both of those helmets. Here I wanted to do kind of a side-by-side comparison, discussing the different features and whatnot. But I don't have that helmet with me today, and today, on the ride over here, this one problem arose to the point where it was just so aggravating that I said, you know what, screw it, we're just going to do this freaking review right here, impromptu, on the lawn at the Tabernacle. So first thing, let's talk about the negatives, and then I'll tell you about the things that I like about it. And then I'll tell you what is the most aggravating part about this helmet. First off is that I was in the market for a new helmet, so I went down to Rocky Mountain ATV. This is before COVID-19 shut down their showroom, so you could actually try stuff on. And I went down there with several $100s ready to buy my new helmet. So as it is there, or backcountry.com, you know, there's these places you can just go in there and log into their computer, and they'll pull the items off the shelf and bring them up to you. You can try them out. So I did that with about 6-7 different helmets. All different freaking helmets in the ADV category. And I'd been there for well over an hour trying all these on, and I ended up settling on this KLIM for a number of reasons. But after I left, I think I paid dang near $600 for this helmet. $600. And at the time, that was one of the most expensive kind of gear purchases I'd made for this ADV adventure biking business. And so $600 isn't a small drop in the bucket. So after I got home, I started seeing all of the newer version of the KLIM KRIOS, which has the vent right here in the front, and it was pretty much immediate kind of buyer's remorse. I was like, dang it, why didn't I wait out until that came out? Or they might have even had that in stock with the transitions lenses. And I think that one was $700. So you're $100 more for a helmet that has vastly major improvements in ventilation and the lens. So for the last 6 months, I've pretty much been kicking myself in the ass, and actually, you know, I'm committed to wearing this thing because it's not like I can sell this thing and somebody's going to buy it for anywhere close to what it's worth to me. So I'm pretty much stuck with it until it takes a big dinger, and then I can get a new one. But that said, after getting over that, I decided that, you know, the things I do like about it are that it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking. You know, the styling of it's pretty neat. The carbon fiber weave that's in it is pretty freaking stellar, and so it doesn't look too bad. Now, this freaking helmet has also been reviewed by now. This thing's been out for 3-4 years probably, so there's umpteen dozen YouTube reviews for it. That's fine, but these are just my thoughts and opinions on it. Now, one of the pros is that it's super light, very lightweight, very comfortable to put on. You don't feel like you're wearing it when it's on in a lot of ways, so that's pretty freaking good, right? So I had watched I'd watched a number of YouTube reviews about this helmet, and one guy, as I remember, he was not happy with me. He was not pleased with it, but that's okay. I decided to go with it anyway. Anyway, it's super lightweight, feels comfortable, looks semi-cool. It's got the adjustability right here, which was super key for me. You can go forward or backwards. I never have it backwards, practically ever. It's pretty much always forward for me. But it's an option, it's there, it's movable. Some of these things are not movable, which I think is ridiculous. Let's talk about the ventilation. The front vent, you can't close it, you can't open it, it's always open. And then where it comes through right there, it hits the foam, and then it kind of diverts up here towards your cheeks, and then it comes out the sides here, both sides, and you've got, of course, you've got your chin guard there, which should come out. I'm sure it comes out, but dealing with that ADV one, it was kind of a nuisance to get it in and out all the time. I generally just leave it in. Your ventilation you've also got is right here on the top, right? So right out of the gate, and then they come out of the back, right? Of course, right here and here, which is cool, and here and here. Spoiler, overall, the ventilation, it's not a very hot helmet. So even though you don't have really options to choose and select, it doesn't generally feel super hot. So that is an upside. But that said, and also in the winter, you know, I've been riding through most of the winter around here too. It's not cold enough to where it's uncomfortable on your cheeks, blowing cold air on you. So they did a well enough design with it to fit all of the bills, but it's just not very diverse. You can't open it and close it, whereas the new one has a nice louver right there. Boom. This vent up here is barely adequate, I would say. You practically can't even feel when it's open. Barely. I mean, most of the time I reach up, I'm like, is that thing open? Yeah, it's open. Secondly, it's not very easy to open. Okay? Push pretty hard to get it up there. So the ventilation could definitely be a lot better, which they did improve on in the next one, so that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the air, what would you call this? The visor. It has pretty substantial air holes in it to where I've heard people complain about it catching the wind and wanting to lift your helmet up. I ride the GS 1200 Adventure, and the windshield, of course, I keep it cranked up when I'm at speed. I only lower it when I'm off-roading. And so that windshield does a pretty dang good job of deflecting most of the air above my head anyway, but even when it's not, even when it doesn't, when this catches air, it actually has more than adequate holes through it to allow air to pass through, as well as underneath it like that. So I think they did a stellar job with that. I think it's phenomenal. I can't complain about it at all, and anybody that does complain about it, I'm like, dang, dude, what visor are you wearing that has zero wind deflection qualities? I don't know. The cushions inside are super comfy. The padding, the strap is very nice. The buckle system's fine, and it does good in that regard. Yeah, the cushioning, the padding, all of it, really quite comfortable. So overall, it's definitely a tolerable helmet to have and use. Keep as my main riding helmet. Just kind of got to deal with the ventilation. Which brings me to the last biggest problem with this helmet is the fact that it kind of only has one job, right? Number one, save your life in a freaking accident. So it really has more than one job. Number two, be comfortable to wear. Number three, be enjoyable to wear, being that you spent $600 on it. And maybe number four, you know, look cool. Style points, right? So it kind of has four jobs. Well, it does some of those jobs all right, others it does not. And so when you get the thing, it's got the pin lock anti-fog insert, which is nearly impossible to install unless you deflect the visor have it removed from the helmet, deflect it nearly, you know, almost like you're trying to flatten it and then insert it. If you try it any other way, good luck. The point is, they ship it with the Pinlock clear anti-fog visor lens, which is okay. It works pretty good. It works actually quite well. It just, there's a rubber seal around it, and that sometimes allows a little bit of dust to get in there, so I've had to take it off one other time, and it needs to be taken off now to be cleaned out. The dust gets inside, just around the edges. Not bad enough to where it's a major nuisance, but bad enough that it kind of requires some maintenance now and then. But they also ship it with the dark tinted lens. Okay, now coming from the ADV helmet, I was in the habit of switching out the mirrored dark lens for the clear lens daily. I kept both lenses, you know, the other lens in my box all the time. So I would just switch out and transition. Well, the problem with this helmet is this mounting system right here. And so you can forget about doing that. So basically they send you with the dark one, stick it in your closet, you're not gonna see that thing again, because if you wanna try to pull over and transition to the different lens, you're gonna be dicking around with it for 10 minutes minimum every single time. Versus the AGV, which is why I wish I had that thing here. The quickest, the nicest little design, just pull a little clip, sticks on in 10 seconds versus literally 10 aggravating minutes messing around with these attachments. So they send it with 2 lenses. You basically only need to use one. So now I just use my sunglasses all the time underneath, and that's probably what most people do anyway. These big ass ADV helmets, you just run with the clear lens on and you wear your sunglasses. That's fine, not a big deal, but kind of a feature that if they had refined this design, would have made it a lot easier to deal with. I'm gonna take this thing apart and show you how that design works, but before I do so, I'm gonna tell you what caused me to finally pull over and do this damn review is when the wind hits, even in the slightest winds at 50 miles an hour, slightest winds start hitting this thing, it's reached a point where it won't stay up. Just a little bit of wind hits it, starts fluttering on it, it falls down 1 or 2 clicks. So just on the 15-mile drive from the house to here, I had to lift my hand up, lift the thing up in aggravation 20 times. So, and that's kind of a new development. It hasn't been doing that, but the tightness of right here is beginning to lose its functionality, which is kind of a shame. And before I even took off on this ride today, I disassembled the whole damn thing, cleaned it out from my Colorado trip, so it still had dust and dirt in it. So I did some service on it, and still, it won't stay up. So you kind of have one job, and that's not to be freaking aggravating to use, and that's what it is. So that's a pretty major bummer. And I don't know what it is I can do to fix that, or modify it, or jimmy around with it, but apparently I'm gonna have to. So thanks a lot, KLIM, for creating more work and hassle for me. Let me show you the way this is designed, and then that's where we'll answer the question of whether this is a shit-ass design and a shit helmet or not. All right, so first off, they are not easy to remove. It's a really simple design. It's not, when you take this off, don't lose your nice little plastic disc. They do send you with a couple extras, but don't lose that. It's a really simple design. It's just that it's not very refined, and it's bulky, and it just doesn't work very well. So first off, it's a total pain in the ass to get it off. It requires a lot of effort. And then, if you can get it off, Jesus. Yeah, see, you're not going to be dealing with this every time you want to change your lens. If you can get it off, like I said, it's a super simple design, but the way those work, all they do is they kind of hold this thing on. Okay? Just like this right here. goes in there and turns to lock, right? Shouldn't be that difficult to use, fine. And then the biggest problem here is that, well, two problems. The adjustment screws to position it properly so you get an adequate seal are behind the plastic, so it's a guessing game. I've only had to do it once, but you're totally guessing each time you try to make an adjustment to move it to line up your seals. So that's kind of not very smart. Lastly, or secondly, the only thing that's providing tension on these little notches to hold it up are these flimsy ass little, whatever you call them right there. That's the only thing that's holding it up. And then the way that it's configured in there is that when you attach this, it sandwiches between this and the base and holds it in place, which, I mean, I guess works, but compared to other helmets, it's just not very refined. For $600 freaking dollars, I mean, come on, dude. This thing isn't a freaking dirt bike helmet that's just gonna get tossed in the back of a pickup truck. It's like, goddamn, dude. So anyway, that's the aggravation. I don't know what I'm gonna do to add increased tension to that, but I've got to do something. So that's where we're at. This thing, if you wanted to change out the lens, you got to kind of pop it off, mess around with it, try to get it on there, try to kind of cock your head to the side, hold up one leg while you try to get the outer part aligned. I mean, see, it doesn't have a recess or anywhere that it belongs. It just kind of floats there. Well, you get this keyed in there and then lift it up, and it's just, you know, it just feels bulky and plasticky and shitty, basically. So maybe I'm too picky, but I tell you, that Italian made freaking ADV one, man, set the bar pretty freaking high. And these are the premier, I think they're American made company. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but KLIM. So I get it, they're snowmobile company, snowmobile apparel company, and entering into ADV markets and motorcycles and all that other business. So, you know, everybody's got a process that they've got to adapt upon, and you know, it's an evolutionary process. I get that, but anyway, that's my input, my feedback. I do look forward to the day that I can get a different helmet. Whether or not it'll be the KLIM KRIOS with a transition lens is yet to be seen. We shall see. But overall, generally happy with the helmet. If I can figure out how to get this visor thing to work, I don't intend to need to replace this helmet anytime soon. It's got enough features, it looks cool, that I'm generally satisfied with it overall, not to the point where I would need to replace it. And so there you have it. You tell me, is that a shit-ass design or just right? I don't know. But that's a wrap. I'm gonna head on up to Logan, cruise up Logan Canyon a little bit, and then head back home. So that's a wrap. See you on the next one.